Okay, hello. In this video I'm going to be showing us how we can turn a display file like the one you're seeing into a web service, which really involves two steps. It involves a little bit of change in the RPG application and then creating a service to call a stored procedure in SQL. So it's fairly simple. Let's go have a look at the source code for this program. I have it here. This is the wrong one. I have it here. It's called depts, which is just really a program which lists all the departments in a department. Basically, it doesn't particularly do a lot, but I don't want to have to rewrite a lot of the logic in here just to be able to create a web service out of it. So what I'm going to do is create a new member, and I'm going to call it depts web.sql rpgle. Okay, so it needs to be an SQL rpgle program. It needs to be one because we are going to be using a feature of the database to do this. And I'm going to open up depts web. It's going to be empty, and I'm going to open up the original depts too, and I'm just going to copy everything and paste it in over here, and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to also try and compile it, create SQL rpgi, and we get compiled successfully. So we have our program. Now, what we need is to return an array of rows basically, and each row, by the looks of it in our subfile, is just an ID and a name. So what I'm going to do is create a new data structure, and I'm going to call it output rows, and it's going to be I'm going to give it a dim 50 because I don't really know. This is the maximum amount of rows that can be in it. It's going to be qualified, and it's going to be an NDS. I should change this to DS. And inside of this data structure, we're going to have two subfields. It's going to be the ID, and we're just going to do like department dot. I think it's department dot depno. That's the one. And then we're also going to do name. We'll do ID and name, all lowercase. It's going to be like department dot dep name. So that's our data structure, and I'm just going to save it there. And I'm going to try and compile it to make sure that we have a valid data structure here. Okay, we do. Very straightforward. The first step is we're actually going to get rid of our display file completely. So instead of us doing a write, we're going to keep the RRN. And instead of us doing a write, we're going to say output rows rrn.id equals department.depno. Okay, like so. And then the same output rows ID equals department.depname. And let's get rid of that because we don't actually need to be doing the write anymore, and most of this stuff is invalid now. Like, we don't need handle inputs because this isn't going to be a display file anymore. We can get rid of stuff like this. We don't need that anymore. We don't need anything that involves the display file necessarily, so we can get rid of most of it. Okay. So for example, here we've got this, do while not exit. We don't even need it anymore. We need to load, and then we'll do the last piece to actually render the data here in a moment. And we can also get rid of a lot of this junk. We'll keep RRN, or actually we might change it in place of index, which I like more. We can get rid of it. We can get rid of the display file definition. We can get rid of all this junk up here. We can get rid of our ext program. Let's save that. And then let's compile it just to be sure we're good. Okay, we have a couple of issues. Exit not defined, that's okay, we can get rid of that. XID is not defined, that's okay, we can get rid of those because we don't need them, that's part of the record. RRN is not defined, that's because we're going to change it to be index. So we're going to say index equals 0, and then we'll just do index plus equals 1, and let's do index there too, save it. Very good, let's compile that again. Okay, we have compiled successfully. So now we have this output rows, which is really exactly what we want. Now the last piece is actually saying, well, how do we get the data out of this program? How do we get our output rows out of this program? Well, it's very simple. It's going to be exec SQL set results, or result sets array, and it's just going to be our output rows as a host variable for and then the amount of rows. In our case, we can just use index rows. So we can save it, then we can compile that. So now we actually have a way to return our result set. But the real question is, how do we see this? Well, we can actually call this from SQL, which is really fantastic. But what I am going to do, just to make this a little bit easier here, I am going to put the library on here, just because I don't want to deal with the hassles of a library list right now. So I'm going to compile that. And so we have our application, but now let's go over to, I think this is run SQL scripts. And what we're going to do is actually call our program from SQL. So we can do call, it's in Barry, and then it's depths web, like so. A couple of brackets, and if we run that, character conversion resulted in truncation. Okay, that's okay. So let's, why did that happen? That's a great question. Let's do, let's call it from our green screen. Let's do, let's come out of here. Oh, wrong button. F3, start debug, depths web. We can still call it, of course, and see what the resulting output is here. Plus, everybody loves a debugging session, so. Okay, very good. So let's scroll down to load subfile. That's where most of the work is. Let's do an F6 here, and let's call depths web. Step over load. Oh, we don't. Let's step over load subfile, and let's have a look at our output rows. Well, there's an issue. Looks like I've gotten some of the data conversion messed up. So let's come out of here and let's end the debug. Let's come back down to here, ID, let's do name. Let's save it there. Let's compile that. And let's come back over to my run SQL scripts and see if it works now. It did. Okay, little issue, but now because we can actually convert this, our RPG program into a callable stored procedure, we haven't actually had to do any SQL. We haven't actually had to write any, actually create the stored procedure. A program effectively could be a stored procedure in this case. So what you can do from here is you can actually take this stored procedure and make it callable from a web service, which is really great. And just to show you that they are both the same results, we can actually call depths from here. Let's bring it over. Let's bring this one over some more. We can make this a bit bigger. So we have Spiffy, computer service div, planning, information center, so on and so forth. So we get all of our results as you would expect, which is very cool in my opinion. I think it's great. And that's pretty much what I had for this video about creating simple turning simple subfiles into web services. Very simple. Didn't take a lot of work, but cool. That's pretty much what I had to show you. Thanks for watching.